What happens when the owner of 5 fast food restaurants finally walks into one and sees a manager screaming at a veteran trying to mop the floor? Reilly had built his life from nothing. 10 years ago, he bought a struggling burger chain from a retiring couple with his last bit of savings. He'd grown that one store into 5 across Ohio, but now something felt off. He hadn't been inside any of the locations for months. His district manager, a guy named Trent, kept telling him everything was running smooth as butter. But the online reviews said otherwise. Complaints about rude managers, long wait times, and even a few claiming workers weren't getting breaks. Isaiah wanted the truth. Not from reports, not from emails. From the floor. He grew out his beard, dyed his hair a sandy brown, and wore thick glasses. A fake name tagged Derek clipped to his plain shirt. He looked nothing like the clean-cut CEO from the headquarter videos no hourly worker had ever met. None of the current staff had been there when he bought the company. Today, he was just a new hire training to be a cashier. He parked outside Store 3, the one in Akron near the old railroad. It was around 10 in the morning, quiet, the kind of calm before the lunch rush. Just as he reached for the door, he froze. Inside, a man in a faded army jacket stood near the mop bucket, arms shaking slightly. Across from him, a manager, late 20s, short, red polo shirt, arms crossed, was raising his voice. "I don't care if your back hurts, Tom," the manager snapped. "You don't take breaks unless I say. You're not special just cause you put on a uniform 20 years ago." Tom's hands gripped the mop tighter, but he said nothing. Isaiah stepped inside, quietly. He stood near the drink machine, pretending to look confused. The manager kept going. "You think I got time for your little sob story every shift? You're slow, you're old, you either keep up or you're out." Tom didn't look up. He just nodded and started mopping again, slower than before. Isaiah's jaw clenched. He looked around. A teenage worker behind the counter stared at the floor. No one said anything. "Hey," Isaiah said, stepping forward. "I'm supposed to start training today." The manager turned, annoyed. "You're the new guy, great, grab a hat from the back." "Don't bother Tom, he's always in one of his moods." Isaiah didn't respond. He walked past Tom, who gave him a weak smile. "Don't let him scare you off," Tom muttered. "Just keep your head down." Isaiah nodded, heart heavy, and disappeared into the back. All morning he trained, if you could call it that. The manager, whose name was Drew, barked orders, rolled his eyes whenever someone asked a question, and constantly checked his phone. The teen worker, a girl named Zoe, tried to help Isaiah with the register. "Drew's just like that," she whispered. "He's always on edge, don't take it personal." "Does he always talk to people like that?" Isaiah asked. "Pretty much. Especially Tom, he's been here the longest. I think Drew feels threatened." Isaiah made a mental note. Zoe was kind, patient. She deserved better than this. By lunchtime, the place was packed. Orders stacked up. Drew yelled at a boy on the grill for burning a patty. He shoved a tray toward Zoe without even looking. "Hurry up, you're killing time." Then the fryer beeped. Loud. Tom reached for the basket, but Drew pushed him aside. "You're too damn slow. Let someone with knees that work do it." Tom stumbled backward, barely catching himself on the counter. That was it. Isaiah stepped forward. "Hey, Drew, you got a second?" Drew didn't even look at him. "Unless you're taking over fryer duty, no." Isaiah stared at him. "I think you should take a break." Drew snapped around. "Excuse me?" Zoe's eyes widened. Even Tom paused. Isaiah's voice dropped. "Take a break," Drew scoffed. "You don't tell me what to do, Derek. You're a trainee for all of 5 hours. Isaiah didn't blink. "You're right. Derek's a trainee." He pulled off the glasses. "But I'm Isaiah Reilly." Silence. Zoe gasped. Tom's mouth opened slightly. Drew's face drained. "Wait, what?" "I own this place," Isaiah said, calm but firm. "All 5 locations. And I just watched you humiliate one of my longest employees in front of a full restaurant." Drew stammered. I didn't mean he's just." Isaiah held up a hand. "Save it." He turned to Tom. "You okay?" Tom nodded slowly. "Yeah, just surprised." Isaiah looked at Zoe. "You've been helping me all day. You're good, real good." Zoe flushed pink. Thank you, sir. Isaiah looked at Drew one last time. Go home, we'll talk, officially. Drew didn't argue, he just walked out, head low. Isaiah turned to the team. Let's clean this up. Then we talk. Isaiah waited until the last customer left before locking the front door and flipping the sign to closed for cleaning. It was barely past 2, but the dining area needed attention, and so did the people running it. Tom leaned against the mop handle, face unreadable. Zoe stood quietly near the counter, folding wrappers into a neat stack. The boy from the grill sat on a milk crate by the fryers, wiping his hands on his apron. No one said anything. They just watched Isaiah. He stepped forward, voice steady. No one's in trouble except the guy who walked out. The rest of you, I owe you a real conversation. Zoe glanced at Tom, then back at Isaiah. Is he really the manager, like the top? Tom nodded slowly. Yeah, I recognize the voice. I saw him in a video once talking about family values. I figured I was just imagining things. You weren't, Isaiah said. I came in because I didn't like what I was hearing about how these stores were being run. What I saw today was worse than I expected. The boy on the crate raised a hand. So, does this mean Drew's fired? Isaiah didn't blink. Yes, effective immediately, Zoe exhaled. No one celebrated, but something shifted, shoulders loosened. The silence felt less heavy. Isaiah looked at them one by one. I need to understand what's been going on here, not from reports, from you. Tom set the mop aside. This place used to run better, but ever since Drew took over last year, it's been rough. He doesn't train new hires, just throws them in. He changes the schedule at the last minute, and if someone calls off, we're expected to cover without complaint, no support. Isaiah frowned. Do you ever get proper coverage when someone's out? Tom shook his head. Usually not. Zoe worked a double last Friday because the evening shift walked out, no warning. Isaiah turned to her. Is that true? She hesitated, then nodded. I didn't want to leave Tom alone. He can't close by himself. Tom waved it off. I'd have managed. You shouldn't have to, Isaiah said. The grill worker stood up. I'm Josh. I only been here a month. I was gonna quit, honestly. Drew called me lazy on my 3rd day cause I didn't know how to reset the fryer. No one showed me. Isaiah's jaw tightened. Did he ever train anyone? Zoe answered. Not really. Once in a while he'd dump a manual on the counter and tell people to figure it out. Isaiah pulled a small notepad from his back pocket. He jotted down 3 names: Zoe, Tom, Josh. I need to rethink how we hire managers, he said. I've been trusting the wrong people to lead. Tom leaned on the counter. No offense, but how did someone like Drew get picked to run a store? Isaiah met his eyes. Because I haven't been present. I let my district manager make most of the staffing calls. I focused too much on growth and not enough on the ground. Zoe stepped forward. What about the DM? He knew what Drew was like. He came in once during a lunch rush and saw Drew yelling at a customer. Didn't say a word. Isaiah's pen paused. That's Trent, right? She nodded. Isaiah tapped the pen against the pad. All right, that tells me everything I need to know about him. Josh crossed his arms. So what now? Are we just short a manager? This place is already running thin. Isaiah nodded. That's fair. Here's what I'm thinking. For today, I'll stay. We'll get through the evening together. Tomorrow, I'll bring in someone from store 1, someone I trust to act as interim manager until we sort this out. He looked at Zoe. You've been holding this place together. I want you to help with scheduling for the next few days. You know who can handle what? She blinked. I've never done that before. I'll walk you through it. I don't need perfect, I need honest effort. Tom raised a hand. And what about pay? We're all doing more than we're being paid for. Isaiah nodded. You're right. Starting today, everyone here gets a bump, not a promise, an adjustment. I'll have it logged by night. Josh gave a slow nod. Okay, that's something. Isaiah turned to the dining area. Let's clean this place properly. Then we'll prep for the dinner rush. For the next hour, they scrubbed every table, wiped down the soda machine, and cleared out the storage closet where expired buns had been left to rot. Isaiah stayed busy hauling boxes, scraping dried ketchup off the tile baseboards, replacing a broken faucet handle that no one had bothered to report. It wasn't glamorous, but it was grounding. At one point, Zoe looked over and said, "You really don't act like a CEO." Isaiah smiled faintly. "That's probably the nicest thing anyone's said to me in a while." By 5, the line outside the door was growing. Tom took the register. Zoe handled the drive-through headset. Josh worked the grill with a rhythm that finally looked like confidence. Isaiah ran trays and drinks, checking in quietly with customers. The atmosphere shifted. People still moved fast, but it wasn't frantic. It felt like a team. Halfway through the rush, a delivery guy from a third-party service came in, looking around. "Pick up for Maya." Zoe grabbed the bag and handed it over. "You're good." The guy nodded, then paused. "Did y'all get a new manager or something? Everyone's not miserable." Isaiah laughed under his breath as the delivery guy left. By 8, the line finally thinned. Josh leaned on the back counter, eyes tired but not defeated. "That might have been the smoothest dinner shift I've had here." Isaiah handed him a water. "That's what happens when people aren't afraid of getting yelled at." Tom sat by the window, sipping a small coffee. "You sticking around tomorrow too?" Isaiah shook his head. "I need to visit the other locations, but I'll be back, and I'm bringing someone who knows how to lead without barking." Zoe wiped her hands on a towel. "What about the district manager?" Isaiah looked at her. "He's next." She nodded slowly. "Good." As they closed up, Isaiah caught a glimpse of the staff board in the back, the one with faded photos and crooked name tags under the words Employee of the Month. The same 4 names had been rotated for over a year. He pulled the board down and tossed it in the trash. "We'll start fresh," he said. "Real recognition, not just a wall no one looks at." The others watched him, quiet but attentive. Before he left, Isaiah turned at the door. "You showed up today when it mattered. You didn't have to, but you did." "That means something to me." Tom stood up. "It meant something to us too." Isaiah nodded once, then stepped into the night air. He didn't need a clipboard or a report to see the truth anymore. He'd seen it, and he wasn't about to walk away from it again. Isaiah didn't sleep much that night. His notebook sat open on the kitchen table, filled with names, notes, and questions. The deeper he thought, the more one thing became clear. Whatever had taken root in Store 3 wasn't isolated. If Trent had promoted someone like Drew and ignored what employees were reporting, then the rot had started higher up than he'd allowed himself to believe. By morning, he was parked outside the company's small regional office in Cuyahoga Falls. 2 rooms, 1 receptionist, and a corner desk that had belonged to Trent for the past 4 years. Isaiah had only visited twice since they opened it. He regretted that now, inside, the receptionist looked up from her keyboard. "Hey, Mr. Reilly, Trent's in." "Want me to let him know you're no need?" Isaiah said. "I'll walk back." Trent was leaning back in his chair, scrolling through his phone, coffee steaming beside him. His tie was loose, and his shirt was wrinkled like it had been pulled off the back of a chair that morning. He looked up, surprised. "Isaiah, didn't know you'd be stopping by." Isaiah closed the door behind him, sat down across from him, and folded his hands. "We need to talk about Store 3. Trent raised an eyebrow. "Something wrong, you tell me." Trent shrugged. "Last I checked, Drew had it under control. We hit our sales benchmarks last quarter, barely any turnover. Tom's still there, Zoe too, all the regulars." Isaiah didn't react. "I was there yesterday. I worked the floor as a new hire." Trent blinked. "You're kidding." "I'm not." There was a pause. Then Trent leaned forward, voice a touch defensive. "Look, I know Drew could be a little sharp sometimes, but he got results. That store used to be the worst performer. He cleaned it up. By threatening staff, humiliating the most loyal employee in front of customers. Ignoring safety issues and skipping training entirely." Trent leaned back, looking uncomfortable. "I didn't know it was that bad." Isaiah didn't break eye contact. "You were there during a lunch rush last month and watched him shout at a customer. Zoe saw you." "You didn't say a word." Trent hesitated. "I figured it was a one-off. The customer was already agitated." "That's not your call to make. If someone's behavior crosses a line, you step in. That's what leadership is." Trent didn't speak. Isaiah stood. "I can't trust you with these stores anymore." "You're done, Trent." Trent's jaw tightened. You're firing me. For one bad manager, Isaiah's tone didn't lift. You didn't miss a red flag, you ignored it. You protected someone who was driving good employees out, and you did it because it made your numbers look good. I won't lead a company that rewards that kind of negligence. Trent sat still for a moment, then nodded once, tight and cold. I'll have my stuff out by noon. Isaiah left the office without another word. By afternoon, he was back on the road, this time heading west toward Store 2, a small location near Mansfield that had been stable for years or so, he thought. With Trent gone, he had no choice but to start checking on each site himself. He called ahead and asked the acting manager, a woman named Jess, to hold a quick team meeting before the dinner shift. When he arrived, the tone was different. Jess greeted him at the door, apron still on, clipboard in one hand. Didn't expect you in person, she said, stepping aside. Everything all right? Just trying to understand how things are really running, Isaiah said. Can we talk in the back? In the kitchen, 3 employees had gathered. One of them, a thin, quiet guy named Marcus, looked uneasy. Jess noticed it too. Isaiah went straight to the point. I'm not here to catch anyone doing something wrong. I'm here because I stopped trusting the reports coming out of this company. I want to hear from the people actually doing the work. Jess nodded. We've been holding up best we can. But we've been short one person almost every shift for the last 3 weeks. Marcus added, we're pulling doubles. No overtime complaints, we're getting paid, but it's starting to burn us out. Isaiah looked at Jess. Why haven't we hired replacements? She looked down. I submitted the requests to Trent. He told me to make do, said we couldn't afford to hire new people until next quarter. Isaiah exhaled through his nose. That's not your fault. Starting tomorrow, I'll handle staffing approvals directly. He turned to Marcus. How long have you been pulling doubles? 2 weeks. I've got a kid at home. It's been rough. No one should be doing that without backup, Isaiah said. You're taking the next 2 days off, paid. Marcus blinked. Seriously? Isaiah nodded. Seriously. The others exchanged glances. Jess finally said, so what now? Are you planning to visit all the stores? Isaiah considered it. I didn't plan it, but now I think I have to. I've been too far removed. That ends now. On the drive back, he called a staffing agency and arranged for temporary workers to fill gaps at Store 3 and Store 2 until he could hire permanent replacements. He also contacted a former operations director, someone he trusted from the early days, about returning to help rebuild the management structure. Her name was Angela, and she didn't hesitate. The next morning, Isaiah returned to Store 3 quietly, just before opening. The air felt different now. Zoe was at the front counter, reviewing the schedule with a clipboard in hand. She looked up, a little surprised. You're back early. Just checking in. Tom was stacking cups behind the soda machine. He nodded at Isaiah, then went back to arranging lids by size. Josh was breaking down boxes in the back, humming something to himself. Isaiah leaned against the wall near the register. How's the day looking? Zoe flipped the clipboard around. 2 call-outs, but we've got coverage. The new guy from Store 1 is decent. Quiet but fair. Isaiah watched her for a long second. You're doing good work. She gave a small shrug. Feels less like walking on glass. He didn't say anything else. Instead, he stepped into the kitchen, rolled up his sleeves, and started prepping fries. By midday, the temp workers arrived, 2 women in their 40s, both experienced in fast food. Zoe introduced them quickly and looped them into the prep cycle. Nobody fell behind. Orders moved out smoothly. Tom didn't have to touch a mop before lunch. Later, in the back, Isaiah pulled Zoe aside. I'm offering you a team lead role. It's not a manager position, but it's a step up. More pay, more say. You've earned it. Her eyes widened. I don't know if I'm ready for that. You're already doing it. I'm just making it official. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. Okay. I'll try. That's all I ask. As the day wrapped, Isaiah stepped outside and looked out at the parking lot. The store wasn't perfect. It still needed repairs. The back freezer's seal was cracked. The patio lights flickered. But the people inside were standing taller. They weren't flinching. They were working. The real fix wasn't going to come from a policy change or a new handbook. It would come from presence. From leadership showing up not just when things broke, but when things held together under pressure. He took out his phone and opened a new memo: bi-weekly site visits. Anonymous employee portal. Direct hiring authority with store-level input. Zero tolerance for abuse or neglect. Rebuild from the bottom up. He didn't need another report. He had eyes now, and he planned to keep them open. By the end of the week, Isaiah had walked through every one of his 5 stores not as a CEO, but as someone who finally understood what it meant to be absent too long. Store 3 had been the wake-up call, but it wasn't the only one that needed attention. Store 4's evening crew had been left without a functioning headset for drive-through orders for weeks. Store 1, the original site, had strong morale but was understaffed. Across the board, he found the same pattern: stretched teams, outdated systems, and good people trying to hold it all together without proper support. Now, back inside the break room of Store 3, Isaiah sat at the small metal table, listening as Angela, the returning operations director, reviewed the staffing plan she drafted. She had taken over regional responsibility 2 days after Trent's exit. Her presence was steady, precise, and visibly respected by the crew. "You'll need another 2 full-timers here by next Friday," she said, tapping a highlighted section on her clipboard. "We've got 1 transfer confirmed from Store 2. The other we'll hire directly." Zoe, now in her new team lead role, leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Do we have time to train them before the weekend hits?" Angela nodded. "I've pulled one of our senior trainers from Store 1. You'll shadow her for 2 days, then she'll work with the new hires." Zoe glanced at Isaiah. "I'll make it work." "You already are," he said. "But don't try to carry everything alone. That's exactly what we're changing." Angela added, "Also, we're replacing the Fryer station. It's one of the oldest in the region and the timer's off by a few seconds. Not safe." Zoe's eyebrows lifted. "Seriously? You're replacing equipment?" "We're replacing whatever isn't reliable," Isaiah said. "Not just here, all 5 stores." Tom stepped in, wiping his hands on a small towel. "That'll make a difference," he said quietly. "That Fryer's nearly caught fire twice." Angela looked at him. "You're Tom, right?" He gave a small nod. "I read your file. 18 years in food service. You should have been in a trainer role years ago." Tom shrugged. "Nobody asked." Isaiah stood. "I am. Starting Monday, you'll be our new training lead for Store 3. You won't be on the floor full-time anymore. You'll focus on onboarding, systems, and safety." Tom blinked, the towel freezing in his hands. "I'm not sure I'm qualified for that." "You are," Isaiah said. "And I'm not asking." Angela added, "You'll have a checklist, support, and a partner from the training team. We're not throwing you in." Tom looked down, his voice low. "All right, I'll do it." "Good," Isaiah said. "We need people who know how to lead without raising their voice." Later that afternoon, Isaiah sat near the front windows, watching customers come and go. The energy inside had shifted, not perfect, but real. There were still gaps to fill, still shifts that ran leaner than he'd prefer, but the team was no longer bracing for verbal abuse at every turn. Josh approached with a tray and set it down in front of him. "On the house," he said. "Well, not really. I just didn't ring it up." Isaiah gave him a look. Josh grinned. "Kidding, it's paid for, but you should eat." Isaiah picked up the sandwich. "You've been sharper on the grill this week." Josh shrugged. "Zoe's been helping more. And the new guy from Store 1 actually explains stuff instead of just pointing." Isaiah nodded. "You planning on sticking around?" Josh glanced back toward the kitchen. "Depends. You really gonna keep showing up like this?" "Not every day, but I won't disappear again." Josh hesitated. "Then yeah, I'll stay." Just then, a woman in her mid-40s stepped inside. Her name tag read Carla, and she wore the green shirt that marked her as a temporary team member. She walked up to Zoe with a clipboard in hand, asking something about freezer temps. Zoe answered confidently, pointing toward the back. Isaiah watched the exchange. "She seems solid." "She is," Josh said. "Knows her stuff, doesn't talk down, big upgrade." Angela joined them a minute later holding a folder. Just got off the phone with corporate HR. They've cleared the budget for a region-wide training refresh. Isaiah leaned forward. How soon? We'll start next week. Teams from each store will rotate through a 2-day workshop. Focus on leadership, conflict resolution, and safety, he nodded. Make sure every manager attends. Non-negotiable. Angela raised an eyebrow, even the ones who think they don't need it, especially them. Across the room, Zoe was helping Carla log an incident report on a cracked tile near the prep station. She wasn't flustered. She wasn't looking for permission. She was leading. Angela followed his gaze. You made the right call with her. She made it easy. Isaiah stood. Let's walk the floor. They moved through the kitchen slowly, checking stations, asking quiet questions. There were still gaps. The dry storage was cluttered. The soda lines needed flushing. But people were talking, not just working around problems, fixing them. In the back hallway, Isaiah stopped short. A handwritten note was taped to the wall above the employee schedule. It read, "We don't yell here, we solve problems." Zoe's handwriting, bold, underlined. Angela noticed it too. She's setting the tone. She's not the only one, Isaiah said. Tom's already rewritten the cleaning checklist. Carla added prep labels without being asked. Josh started organizing the walk-in. Angela turned toward him. What do you want to do about Store 5? Isaiah crossed his arms. Same as here. Show up, listen, rebuild from the inside out. Angela gave a small nod. Then we've got work ahead. Isaiah looked around. We do, but it's finally the right kind of work. By closing, the store was clean, the staff clocked out on time, and the next shift was fully covered. No screaming, no fear, just a tired team that had done their jobs and gone home with dignity. Outside, Isaiah stood by his car, watching the lights flicker off one by one. Angela joined him. You think it'll hold? He didn't answer right away. Then, not by itself. But it will if we stay present. She tightened her coat. That's the part most companies forget, he nodded. Not this one, not anymore. They stood in silence for a moment, the parking lot quiet except for the distant hum of traffic. Then Angela broke it. One last thing. I spoke with Zoe before I left. She's worried you'll stop coming around once things look better. Isaiah shook his head. Tell her I'm not here because it's broken, I'm here because it matters. Angela smiled faintly, then she walked to her car and drove off. Isaiah stayed a minute longer. The building behind him wasn't just a store, it was a second chance. And this time he wasn't going to waste it.